So it's day 2. I just got done editing day 1. So I got to see myself talk, which is always awkward. But I think I did all right. I told you guys what this whole thing was about. So now the next piece of this whole project that I've been working on is this right here. So every day I write in a journal. And I know a lot of people write in journals in different ways. Some people write about what they did for the day. Other people write about what they were thinking. My journal is kind of a mix of what I'm thinking with some of the stuff that I've learned. So each day I want to use what I wrote in the prior days, either the day before or whatever, and use that as what I'm talking about right now, most of the time. So one thing that I was writing about yesterday actually was the power of routines. And I think everyone knows that you get into a routine and it's really hard to break. They're really hard to create in the first place, so that makes sense. But one thing I didn't realize is that when you're in an unhealthy place, you make routines. Humans are always making routines. And I think it's more likely that the routines you make when you are unhealthy will also be unhealthy. So one of these routines was I was in a 5-year relationship. We broke up and I basically started isolating myself for a whole year, and that became a routine. I was very used to just being by myself. I am a very social person, and this was like a huge change for me, but it just came naturally in that moment because I was so depressed. And for 2 years after the breakup, I would obviously see people and my friends back home, but it became a routine of mine to not seek out friendships because I just assumed, you know what, this is how I've been doing things. I'm just going to be kind of a lone wolf kind of guy. And it just spiraled me into the worst depression I've ever been in. And finally, when I started getting over the breakup, started working on myself, I came out of that and I started making friends in San Diego. So right now I'm actually on the way to do a hike with 2 of my good friends, Mally and Maddie. And just brought to mind that you might have a routine that you've just been doing for a long time that you might not realize is hurting you and that you need to change. And that was my case. I have plenty of those routines, but the friendship one was one of them. And yeah, that's what I wrote about in my journal one of these days. I wrote about the fact that sometimes the routine sneaks up on you, and before you know it, you're so deep into that thing, and it might be hurting you, and you don't even realize. There's a good saying that if you put a frog in a boiling pot of water, it's going to try and jump out. But if you slowly increase the temperature 1 degree at a time, that frog will stay in that boiling pot of water until it dies. And I think that's a pretty good analogy for life, which is you might not notice a lot of the things that might be hurting you because they've slowly built up over time. But when you take a look back and think, okay, when was I in a bad place? What routines did I develop when I was in that bad place? You might realize, like I did, that shit, I need to start making some friends or I'm going to be a depressed loner my whole life. So yeah, this is day 2 of my videos, and I've now introduced you guys to the journal. So cool.